are you, Nancy?
Good.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. Well, how exciting. We get to talk about summertime during the summer. And it's been such a big hype, this film. We can start with you, Raúl, if that's okay.
Of course.
What summertime means to you?
Ooh, Nancy coming in blazing. It means so many things to me. For me, I guess the first thing that comes into my head is I never thought I was going to be in film or acting. I didn't even think I was going to, be in education, to be honest with you, because I just wasn't that student and I just didn't have those interests. But I did have, this talent of speaking in front of people. So I just stuck with that. I didn't necessarily do the greatest in high school or my first couple of years community college, but poetry and spoken word and performance was always kind of like my lifeline. And so I just stuck with it. And I didn't think anything, I didn't grow up with poets around me. No one said, hey, you can make a career out of this, or I just did it because I genuinely loved to do it. And for this movie to come out that highlights not only like my experience as a poet and my own words, but like the words and experiences of like my friends and the people in my community, I think it's just so validating that poetry does have a place like in the professional world or in the successful department, and to be a part of that, I think it's just, I didn't make the wrong decision is now how I feel like, but that's what summertime means to me.
That's great. Carlos, you got to direct this film. How excited are you to be able to be a part of it? But not only that, but going a bigger route now as part of, the material being able to be used for education.
No, I mean, I keep telling people that it's sort of like a dream come true as a filmmaker. Like I met the poets 2.5 years ago. I saw them on a showcase that changed my life and the way I see the world. And my only intention in wanting to make this movie is to share that experience with as many people as possible, and to have others be as affected as I was by seeing the poets' work. So to know that it's now going to be available digitally, that so many people are going to be able to have access to it, and not only that, but that Get Lit, like empowered, is going to empower so many students around the world to use the movie to think creatively, to engage in their classrooms, that educators are going to be able to have access to it, and they're going to be able to, hopefully get their students excited about spoken word and about doing creative work that looks at themselves and their place in the world. I don't know. It's kind of like a dream come true, and I'm excited to see what happens now that we're putting all of this good stuff out there.
One of my highlights watching the film, if it's okay to give my feedback, was the 27 featured kids, pretty much in a way representing the different personalities you find out here in LA. You have the Yelper, you have the couple, seeking therapy, which is pretty common, not only LA, but just the different personalities, like I said, especially the Yelper. I mean, come on, that's very popular out here.
100%.
And one of my highlights was, what's her name? Marquisha. Yeah. And I'm not being biased because Raúl, I have you here, but Marquisha and Raúl's presentation were like my favorite. Marquisha, though, the passion and crying, I mean, that cut deep, and the words that were super strong. How did it feel for you, Carlos, directing her scene?
I mean, people ask me sort of like which is my favorite, and it's hard for me to give an answer just because I've gotten to know all these poets so well, and I feel like all of their stories are so important. Obviously, I mean, Raúl's closing poem like gets me every time, and it's so meaningful for so many different reasons. Marquisha's also is like incredibly powerful, and just knowing that this is real her, like she's letting you into her life, and she's letting you into some like really complicated experiences, and also like showing you how she's getting through them. It's so powerful. So for me, like, it was beautiful to do this movie. It was beautiful to sort of like just like put this huge puzzle together, but I felt so privileged that I got a chance to work so closely with all of these poets, because yeah, it's not like talking to Martisha about like, hey, let's build your character and like, let's make sure that she's funny and no, it's this just like, hey, this is you and all of your complexities and all of the like things that you love and you may not love about yourself, like just how can we help you communicate that in your part in this movie. So it was a very different, very unique uh and such a like deeply meaningful experience working with all of them.
Raúl, we got to talk about your scene. I got that fuzzy feeling, that optimistic, feeling like I can do it. I can do it all. Yes, I just got to go to the clouds and dream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that poem has, changed in terms of what it means to me over the years. And, I wrote that poem maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it definitely didn't look like what it looks like now, because I've changed as a person, and so has that poem. I remember when we were filming it, I was so nervous. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, and we're on top of the limo. I've never been on top of a limo before, surprisingly. And they're like, he's just like, do your poem. I said, okay. And I do it, and everyone's quiet. And then, Carlos, all quiet. He's like, hey, it's really good. Just do it again. No notes. Didn't give me none. I've never been on a movie set before. I had no idea if I was doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. He's like, just do it again. Do it again. Comes up to me again. He's like, just do it one more time and I think we'll be good. So, okay. I do it again. And I'm like, did I just blow it? Like, I don't know. And then to finally see it, I'm like, oh, like it was just beautiful to see, those, really, it was beautiful to see me on the screen, because it just felt like, oh, that's like the person I've been trying to be. And with Carlos's magic and with the magic of the crew and the cast, like I just felt like pretty powerful in that moment, and I'll always remember that, and I appreciate it.
And you also represent one of the LA personalities that has like multiple jobs. I mean, we've all been there, trying to,
Hustler, yeah.
Years. By the way, that's another highlight of this film. Carlos, what was it like for you to direct performers in this case? Like Raúl was talking about, you're just like, just do it. Just say your poem.
I mean, it was, I think it was more of a collaboration than anything else. I think, each of them has their performance style. Each of them has their way of going about themselves, and they're their own character. So I feel like it was a lot of observation, a lot of saying like, this is Tyrus. He communicates this way. He performs this way. He responds well to like casual conversation, or Raúl, like he likes to be. I'm just making this up, by the way. But Raúl likes like more specificity and like just really needs like clear direction. So it was really like 27 of those conversations, and just saying like, these are artists in their own like complete right, and like I'm not telling them act this way or be this way. I'm just hopefully just like creating scenarios where they can just be a version of themselves and have fun and just show their truth. So it was challenging. It was a lot more challenging than it sounds, because you're like, when you hear like these are people that are making their feature film debut and they're sort of like playing themselves, I think you can lazily think that it's like, oh, that was you just put a camera and let them be and whatnot, but it's they're conversations that are alive and changing. And yeah, we do have to make a movie, so we do need like all of these things to work in tandem, but at the same time, really like the soul of the movie is just letting the poets sort of like exist freely and not be like too aware there's a camera and a crew following them. So anyway, it was an interesting challenge, good balance.
Now, how did you choose the 27 composers from getlit.org?
That was actually working with Diane Luby Lane, who's the director of Get Lit, and she essentially brought up like the all-time superstars of the program. Some of them were still working with them, some of them had already sort of like finished the program and were off doing their things. Some of them were teaching and educators, and like Raúl's role, for example. So it was a lot of that, and then there was a few more cases of people um, that we found. Like I saw Jason and Tyrus performing at a classic slam, and they were sort of like very, very young out of the whole group, but they were so incredible. So we asked them to join this group, and it was an ongoing process that was very fluid, just because the movie kept like growing and evolving and expanding. And but we ended up with like such an incredible group of people.
Now to start finalizing, I loved the part where people are sharing what home is.
Yeah.
So can we do that with you guys? Carlos, you could start with what home is and then go on with Raúl.
Yeah, I mean, home, I have a complicated relationship with the idea of home, like, you know, everyone in the movie does. Because I was born in Mexico City, my family's all there, but I haven't been there in almost 20 years, or a little bit over 20 years. And LA has been the city that I've spent most of my time in, but, you know, I have no one here. I mean, yes, I have a lot of people here, but no one from my direct family here. I am Mexican, but I'm now I've naturalized as an American citizen, so I have like lots of confusing identity questions floating in my mind. But this, you know, it's gonna sound mushy, but doing this movie like really helped me become okay with the idea that LA is my home, and that I don't necessarily need to have like this perfect traditional idea of like a home. And you know, LA is home to a lot of people who have very complicated, confusing relationships with a city. But it really took me this long, and like meeting all these poets and hearing all their stories, to say like, yeah, this is home. And it's not perfect, but it's like it's the city that has housed me. So.
And for you, Raúl?
Yes. You know, I'm always moving in my seat, and I don't like being confined to spaces, whether that's like, you know, like life journey spaces or like physical spaces. You know, I moved around a lot when in my formative years, and I'm more of a wanderer. I don't necessarily think I have any definition or idea of what home is. I just like, I'm not tethered to any one thing. I just like moving around and seeing homes and seeing everyone else's experiences. So it's home. And so knowing that there's no like central location for me to like rest, that central location, my home, always has to be like me. Like that's my soul, my heart, my mind, my emotions. I have to make sure those are clean, and I treat them like home, because that's kind of the only thing that is consistent, or I try to keep consistent with my life. So home is me.
Well, thank you both for sharing. Carlos, I could definitely relate with you. I was also born in Mexico City. My parents brought me when I was 7. So it's one of those things when you're torn. You know, that's like kind of like your motherland, but then this is the city that took us in, LA, for us.
I'm happy, and I hope that the movie does that for so many people, that it just makes them consider sort of like their place in the world, their place in their city, and the fact that none of our stories is like as cut and clear as like we're often shown, or like are encouraged to think. Like home is where we are, and home is what we make it, and it's, you know, in our heads and in our hearts and our feet.
Like Raúl says, the heart, the inside.
Inside.
We should learn from him.
I would like to say this, Nancy, quickly. I just think it's super important, and we're all just so excited about it. We have these summertime lesson plans that we're giving to free for educators. We got this huge grant from Tiger Tales Media to give these lesson plans for free. And so if y'all are interested in finding out about these lesson plans, they use this online platform called Universe, where students can like submit their poems, response poems from the movie. They can respond to each other's poems. So it's really connecting students from all over the world in this online poetry community called Universe through the summertime lesson plan. So if anyone's out there is interested, please go to getlit.org. There's a button you can click summertime curriculum, or go directly to the page, getlit.org/summertime-curriculum to get your free lesson plans starting today.
That's important. Thank you for sharing. And just real quick, Carlos, I had a chance to talk to you before, by the way, for Blindspotting. Great movie.
Okay.
And your mother is Carla Estrada. I mean, I grew up with, her stories. Do you think one day you'll get to work with her?
I mean, we're so close. We talk so often. Yeah, I don't know. I hope so. She's in Summertime. She's in the Mexican scene. She's in the Mexican scene, the Mexican restaurant scene.
Yeah.
Sitting there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've learned so much from her, and I think she's very happy to see what I'm doing. So I hope so.
That's great. I mean, she's so popular in Mexico. If you don't know Raúl, maybe you do, but
I know from my abuelita and my tias, like they're all like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You made it." I said, "I think, yeah," because they watched her a lot, or they do watch her a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Very tough.
Well, thank you so much both for your time, and congratulations. People are going to be able to see it on their smaller screen very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, that's it.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you.